Aditya Garladinne, and I'm from the CBSE 12 batch of 2022 from GIIS Smart Campus. I recently graduated and I will be enlisting in the National Service this year. My GIIS journey began, like you said, in K1, and although I don't have that much memory of the time, I do remember it being a very fun and entertaining time in my life when I was really carefree. And as my GIIS journey progressed, I did learn a lot of things along the way and met a lot of amazing friends and teachers who impacted my life greatly. And I attribute my development in my journey to the GIIS team all the way. So my initial response to my results was, even though many people might find this annoying, I was a bit disappointed because the only marks I looked at was my chemistry marks, and I did not do as well as I expected in chemistry. I was expecting a full. But my parents, especially my mother, she was elated, and sooner or later I gave in to her joy, and I also was incredibly excited because I didn't really expect that level of results, considering that after the papers were discussed every time, all of my friends complained about the difficulty of the paper, and even I felt the same way. Especially in physics, I did not expect to get 99%. I was really very happy, overjoyed with the result, and I hope that this result will take me farther in life. So CBSE is a curriculum, I think it has shaped me in a good way because the topics that were taught, especially in chemistry and physics and maths, I think they've helped me build sort of analytical thinking because of the various formulas and the approaches to the questions, especially in recent times when CBSE has modeled their questions to be a bit more interpretive instead of rote learning. So I believe that it has prepared me for the challenges that I'm about to undertake in my further life. I think CBSE at GIIS particularly was punctuated for me by the technological learning, especially because a lot of my friends in India who undertook CBSE, they didn't have access to the same facilities, especially during the COVID time period. Online classes were disrupted for many of my friends, but thankfully the classes were continued due to the online learning system and the Zoom classes that were present in GIIS Smart Campus. I think this was one very good plus point for the GIIS Smart Campus because despite the challenges of the COVID pandemic, we were able to progress with our learning, and even though we experienced some difficulty, we got through it. I think my teachers and the school staff in general, not just my subject teachers but the other co-curricular teachers, they played a huge role because I think I've not only been in academics, but I've also done performing arts and sports, and some teachers, they just even though they have left the school right now, I'm still in contact with them, like Ida ma'am, Papia ma'am, and Revati ma'am is still in school, but these teachers come to my mind because they've left a huge impact. I remember especially during my 12th and 11th, one day before the chemistry cyclic tests, as usual we'd be cramming till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and despite the late and late time, I would it's very bad on my part, but I would ask Revati ma'am for doubts, and she would reply to me and she would assure me that nothing is wrong, and I just had to be calm and have a good night's rest before the exam. And it was really touching for me because my teachers cared about me so much and ensured that my upbringing was good, other than the fact that I performed well in studies. When it comes to the other facets of my learning, such as music and sports, I think Rakhi ma'am and Giral sir come to my mind because I studied in East Coast for nearly 8 years. And Rakhi ma'am helped me, she helped me for annual day performances and developing my singing alongside my piano skills. And Giral sir, he's been there for the last 14 years. Like, he still remembers everyone. and he helped me for football and badminton. And I am simply grateful to all these teachers, and no matter what I do, it won't be enough to thank them for the rest of my life. Obviously, it was a big shock to a lot of us, the COVID pandemic. Suddenly, we were supposed to sit at home 24/7 for weeks on end, and not even leave the house except for essential groceries. And at some point, I will have to admit that the online classes got a bit tiring for me, and I got distracted by other things, like watching other things or playing games. I'm a child as well at heart, but regardless of the challenges that it posed, I think our teachers especially did a really good job coping up with the pandemic by using more interactive learning resources, like one-on-one, like asking questions, or using the Zoom features to raise your hands, and making PowerPoint presentations or giving projects to the class so that we would learn in a different way. So I'm very grateful that our teachers were able to cope with the challenges and ensure that our learning journey, even though it was affected, it would still be mitigated to the most extent. I think one thing that I definitely learned was a focus, because at home, amidst all the distractions that I can stay at home, I can just leave the class open and I don't have to pay attention. Despite that, being focused in class and actually absorbing what was being taught, I think that's one very important thing, because obviously in class, we can't be distracted because the teacher is always in front of us. But in online class, it's much easier to not pay attention. But I think that the online class taught me in particular that skill of being focused in class, because in 11th and 12th we are more responsible for our own studies as compared to 10th and before. So we need to know that our performance in 11th and 12th is a stepping stone for our future. And I think I was able to build that focus and sit for hours on end. And I think that actually helped me with my board preparation, because despite I had to sit for nearly 8 hours with barely any breaks to attend the online classes, and that actually helped me for the study sessions that I did during the board exams. My love for football started in PE. Obviously, as usual, every little child starts their love for some sport in PE period, when the PE teacher, Jalal sir in particular for me, would just give us a football and we just kick it around and just be carefree. But as I progressed from 3rd to 4th to 5th grade, I realized that I really had a passion for football and I wanted to take it further. So I joined the Goal Squad program that our East Coast school offered, and it really helped me a lot, because I think it made me a more disciplined and fit individual. My passion for football, it really sparked my passion for fitness as well, and it's been really helpful, especially considering that I'm going to have to go for the national service this year. And over the last 7 years, we've played so many Access tournaments, which I think have been integral to building my character. How to deal with a loss, and how to celebrate a win. All these things, and most importantly, teamwork, because I met a lot of good people in my team who I'm still happy to call my friends at this point. Meeting these people and building these connections has been very important for me, and football as a whole, I feel, has progressed my character, and I'm very thankful for the East Coast team in particular for helping me out on this program. We've won many tournaments. We went to SUTD and OFS, and we won both those tournaments. We bagged gold in those. And in Access, we placed silver. Our last match was a very tough fight against a good opponent, and it taught us a lot of things, because it showed us that the skill ceiling for football is actually very high, and we, by actually playing against really good players, we learn a lot from them also. Even if we lose the match, we learned a lot from that match, and I feel like we progressed as a team that time. So in my senior year, in my 12th grade, I was in the student council as the house captain for Sunflower. In the 11th grade, I actually didn't go for a student council because I was part of the Interact Club as the treasurer. That was also a very good experience, but I'll talk about the student council first. So I was elected by my fellow companions in the school, and I was very honored to be elected because, personally speaking, I didn't expect to win, but considering that I had taken part in a lot of debate events and other social events that were taking place in the school, I had built up a little bit of a reputation for myself, and through that reputation, a lot of people had known me, even though I did not campaign that much, and as a result, I was able to bag that position. As per the responsibilities of that position, we did organize a badminton tournament amid the COVID pandemic, which was already, I think, a quite big achievement, considering that we had to follow a lot of strict guidelines pertaining to social distancing and the group law. The badminton tournament and a small basketball tournament also, they were conducted very well. In fact, the children of the smaller grades kept coming to us, and we had more registrations than we could accommodate. So I think this was a very important experience. But in 11th grade, as part of the Interact Club of our school, I was the treasurer, and I managed a lot of funding because the Interact Club, it worked with a lot of money that was being donated to volunteer causes. There was one cause in Thailand that was being given to children who needed hygiene and sanitary products such as soap. And another big event that we did was the SCS run. We raised $1,600 for the Singapore Cancer Society, and we ran over 100 kilometers in the school's, the East Coast campus field. So I think this was a very big event because it, it made a real impact in society. We were giving back. So I think these leadership roles have really made a difference in my life. Another defining moment in my life was when I took part in the World Vision program. So the program entailed teaching illiterate children in rural India. They were, I guess, 8 to 12 years old. So we had to teach them through the Zoom classes. We stayed back after school, and there were 2 centers initially, but I'm happy that this year the program has expanded to nearly 8 or 9 centers, considering the amazing performance the previous year. There were a lot of challenges that we encountered in this program. Namely, obviously, it's hard to teach online. These children have a very low attention span, and they tend to get distracted easily. And there is a communication barrier, and there is a social barrier also. We were supposed to teach them in their native language. For Agra, it was Hindi, and for Chennai, it was Tamil. And considering that I'm not prolific in either of these languages, it was especially tough for me. But I think overcoming these challenges was eye-opening for me, and it also brought newfound respect for my teachers, because it's so incredibly difficult to teach a bunch of students, especially in online class, and it really opened my eyes to how our teachers were teaching us during the pandemic. So this experience was really heartwarming, and I was really glad to be able to give back to our our counterparts back in India. They had to travel for hours to get to the center. After the program concluded, they conducted some tests, and it actually revealed that their progress was significant after the program, which really, it was really gratifying for me to find that out. And as I mentioned, the program has expanded this year, and I really hope that one day I can come back as an alumnus and conduct this program once again, and at that point maybe there'll be 100 centers. I think I have been encouraged several times, sometimes even against my own will, as I mentioned. Outside the school, I have a performance grade 8 in piano awarded to me by the ABRSM program. I learned piano for the last 8 or 9 years, and I'm glad to say that I have a recognition in the skill. As for football, I only played inside school. I undertook coaching outside school for a little bit, and I performed well there. I was noted by the coaches and the staff there. So I think that playing in school really built my skills, and when I went outside of school, I was able to cope up with the local competition, which is also pretty good in Singapore. I think the school gave me a lot of learning opportunities, not just in academics but in arts and sports. But it was really a challenge for me to balance all of these all at once, especially in my senior year when academics took the forefront. But I think because of the way the classes were conducted in a easy and intelligible manner, I didn't really have that much of a difficulty with my studies. Every day I used to go home and brush up on the classes that were being conducted in school, and usually that only took me like an hour or an hour and a half, and I was able to dedicate the rest of my time to the other activities that I was taking part in, namely debate events and my performing arts. So I think the way the classes were being conducted in school was a big plus point for me, because by paying attention in class, I really didn't have that much work to do at home other than the homework that was being assigned. So I think that was a very good thing for me. I think my key takeaways from my school experience, most importantly, I think it would be to not be afraid of failing. Because I mean, even though I didn't not failing in academics, but failing as a result of trying something new. I think school as a whole has made me more open to the thought of trying new things in my life, even though it may not work out. Like I may be bad at something, at a skill that I try to take up. It has made me more open to the thought of trying out these things, because I never know what I may find that I like. An example that I would like to talk about is like singing, because at the beginning I was very opposed to being part of singing and performing, because I had a lot of stage fright. But after performing a few times and seeing the looks of joy on the audience after the performance concluded, it was very gratifying feeling for me. And this also helped me overcome my stage fright. I mean, that and also public speaking. These two combined helped me develop more confidence while giving speeches and just talking as a whole. That's one very important key takeaway. I think I've built a lot of confidence interacting with the people in our school, meeting new people. My teachers also helped me build a lot of confidence, not just in speaking but also in my studies, because especially in physics, I didn't expect to be the topper. I thought my friends were much better than me. But at the beginning of the year, physics, it seemed incredibly difficult for me. But I think I went to the teachers, and they kept reassuring me that it's okay, it's good, you'll be fine. Just need to study the topics and you'll be okay. I think they helped me, gain a lot of confidence with my academics. And other than the academics, with leadership skills and soft skills such as like human interaction. I think all of these are very important takeaways that I'll be moving to my further life, in NS and college. So I think school has overall, molded me to become a more rounded and holistic individual. Like I mentioned, this month actually, I'll be enlisting into the Singapore Armed Forces, and after that, I plan on undertaking a legal education from UK, or depending on whether I get it in Singapore, in National University of Singapore. But yeah, so I have started my applications for UCAS, and I've also started my National University application. So it's, I have to see. Actually, if I were to say, Shashi Tharoor has been a very good inspiration for me. Even though some of his opinions may be a bit questionable, the confidence with which he speaks and the way he carries himself as an individual who has gotten an education from Oxford, it's really inspiring to me, because to carry myself with the same kind of confidence and passion. One particular experience or one particular thing of his comes to my mind when he gave a speech at the Oxford Union, opining that Britain must pay reparations to India. That speech inspired me a lot, because the way he presented his points, even though he's not a lawyer, he's a politician and a teacher, but the way he presented his arguments in such a structured and cohesive manner, it really inspired me, because just listening to him speak, you almost want to agree with him no matter what he says. So I want to become that kind of public speaker, that kind of inspiring leader, so that people would just want to listen to me when I'm speaking. The one advice I would like to share is, don't be afraid to try new things like I did in my personal life, because the environment in our school is very friendly to trying new skills, trying to pick up a new skill or trying to join a sport. The environment is very forgiving and very encouraging, and I'm glad that I grew up in this environment, because I was able to pick up a lot of new skills as I grew up, which I didn't even expect to do. So that's definitely the key takeaway. But other than that, obviously, we must, I would tell them to respect our teachers and pay attention in class, because it's something that's usually taken for granted. But just by paying attention in class, I did not, personally, I didn't go for any extra tuitions or any classes for my for school or school-related subjects. I just paid attention in class, and I'm happy to say that I've got a satisfactory result. So just by paying attention in class and listening to what our teachers are telling us, it'll make a huge change in our life, not just for academics, because they have a lot of wisdom and experience to share from their own personal lives. My most favorite subject is probably English, and my least favorite is definitely physics, even though I scored 99. I was always afraid. Holistic. The learning commons outside my class. Piano, definitely. Just solving past papers. Leadership, then leadership. Keep my curiosity. International soccer match. Sitting in the canteen and having lunch with my friends. My friends and my teachers. It's a tough question, but I'd say Shashi Tharoor.